Good day. I'm Andrea Mitchell, live in Washington. President Obama promised action if the Assad regime crossed his red line. The White House has now confirmed preliminary evidence of chemical weapons that were used in Syria. So what are the next steps? House Foreign Affairs Chairman Ed Royce has just attended a briefing by Secretary of State Kerry and joins me now from the Hill. Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. I know the White House has been putting a lot of caveats on this. They say that there is preliminary indications. They don't have a chain of custody. What did Secretary Kerry tell you about how concrete the evidence is?
Well, let me share with you that the expressions that the administration uses are along the lines that you've just expressed, but at the same time, as you know, the British, the French have also looked at this situation, and I think that we're at a point now where there's a general consensus that yes, indeed, the regime is beginning to use sarin gas or use chemical weaponry that can create mass casualties. And so the question is, how can the international community move quickly to throw its weight behind the Free Syrian forces? And I think that's what you see happening. I think the European community, the United States, the countries in the region are all beginning a process of aid to the Free Syrian Army, along with a vetting process to make certain that foreign fighters do not join that cause. The goal right now is to keep the foreign fighters out of the country, because if the foreign fighters come in, and certainly the Qataris have helped facilitate that, it's been very unhelpful, because now you're talking about Al-Qaeda style ideology coming into Syria with these fighters. That's what's driving their motivation. So I think the plan is try to keep the foreign fighters out, get the aid now as quickly as we can into the hands of the Free Syrian Army.
How do we keep the foreign fighters out? Are they talking now about a buffer zone or a no-fly zone?
Well, no, I think the way that you keep them out is a dialogue and pressure on the Qataris. Qatar has been singularly unhelpful, if you recall, in both Libya in the past and now here. And we wouldn't be in this problem right now if they had not facilitated this. So what we need to do in the international community and as the United States is to explain all of the consequences that will, all the ramifications, and lean heavily on that country to quit aiding and abetting outside fighters. Let's call this an Al-Qaeda franchise that ends up coming into the country and is now doing part of the fighting. And that, of course, sets up a very different dynamic internally than the case with the Free Syrian Army, where you have Alawites, Sunnis, Shia, Kurds all fighting together in a joint command with the idea that they're going to set up a Syrian state without Assad, rather than setting up a radical Islamist state, which is exactly what these foreign fighters like to do.
Is there pressure, was there pressure in your meetings today for the administration to do more, though, in terms of arming those rebel groups whom we are dealing with, whom we have vetted? And is there also pressure for the U.S. to do more, given that there may be a crossing of this red line? You yourself mentioned that the Brits, the French, think that this has indeed happened, that the evidence is clear. How do we not do something? Iran is watching. North Korea is watching.
Right, right. And, of course, we all know that Hezbollah is on the ground. Iranian intelligence is also on the ground. The Quds forces are doing part of the fighting. Indeed, they're backing up Assad. And part of the problem is that even when Alawite units want to defect, when you've got that cast of characters around you, it makes it very, very hard for them to do. We've talked to some of the leaders in the Alawite business community, and one of the former ministers, I talked with him personally, who has defected to the other side and is right now doing broadcasting into the country, asking others to join this. This is a fight that needs to be carried on by Syrians in the Free Syrian Army, but there are other countries other than the United States quite willing, and right now are beginning to become in this process of handing over the type of weaponry needed in order to check the Syrian armor, Assad's armor on the ground. So they are getting that weaponry not from the United States, but from other sources. At the same time, they're getting a lot of aid from the U.S. in other ways, and we are helping vet and go through the process and in a way, let's call it training that the Europeans and the United States are involved in to make sure that the right officers, the ones that are committed to the concept of Syria as a nation and are not committed to a radical future for that country, that they're the ones that receive aid.
Congressman Royce, thank you very much on Capitol Hill. Meanwhile, the other big story we're tracking today in Boston today, Dzhokhar Tsarnaev has been moved overnight out of Beth Israel